Hi, everybody. I'm here today chatting with Mark Leathers, who is chatting to me all the way from Portugal. Makes me very jealous. I would love to be in the Algarve right now, but I'm not. And I'm chatting to Mark today about a whole lot of different things, actually, but really about his experience moving his RA to EasyEquities. So, Mark, thanks so much for chatting with us today. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you.
Thanks for having me, Carly.
So, Mark, I've been reading a little bit about you, and you're a very interesting guy. You're a lawyer, but you're also a marathon runner. You also have a bunch of tattoos and some interesting hobbies like flying planes. Tell me a bit about that stuff.
Well, firstly, don't hold being a lawyer against me.
I won't.
My approach to life is just that life is short. I once saw something which struck home with me, and it is said that life is too short to drink bad wine.
Oh, I'm there for that, for sure.
And that philosophy rang true with me. We've got very limited time on earth. We need to make the most of it. And there's things that are efficient, and I like getting things done quickly and easily, which is why I fly planes instead of playing golf. And I'm also a little bit insane, which is why I took up marathon running at 40 years of age. But it keeps life interesting.
Okay, and so this kind of attitude that you have about life, how does that play into how you manage your money? Are you also very adventurous there?
Well, I think it's a case of in life, there's no reward without risk. And it all comes down to how you balance that. And yes, all of us in life are different. So some people are more risk adverse than others. But once you accept the fact that those two are more often than not inextricably linked, you get to decide what approach you want to take. And I think because I'm a little bit younger still, I'm not quite at retirement age by any measure. I'm saying to myself that, you know what, knowledge is power and markets turn, they work in cycles. So if you're a little bit risky now at this stage to wager for more reward, well, if all goes to hell, you've got time to turn it around again. My
Yeah.
approach might change in 20 years' time, but it's just a case of saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And if I want to be in the position of being able to retire comfortably, you need to be prepared to be out of your comfort zone a little bit when
Yeah.
you're young.
I mean, when I first started investing kind of seriously or more seriously when I turned 30, and at first I was kind of nervous about, putting my money in the markets. And then when I started learning more, I was like, I'm actually a spring chicken, super young, and I've got all this time, and I can take a little risk. So now I even have a little bit of crypto in my portfolio. So living on the edge, but only just a little bit. And like you, for me, a key goal is retirement. So my main focus is my retirement annuity, my tax-free savings account, and then obviously I play a little bit in the US markets, and I have my ZAR account as well, and all those kind of things. But yeah, retirement, a big focus, and you've got the time. And the risk for me is also not taking enough risk. Because if you don't take some risk, you end up being shortchanged when you need that support the most?
Well, 100%. And I mean, let's be honest, you've got a lot longer in your life that you're not saving than when you are. And because of that, you need your returns to eclipse inflation considerably in order to offset that time imbalance.
Yeah.
And the only way it happens is by taking that risk. And hopefully we'll talk a little bit later about the 1% cashback I got from you
Yes.
guys,
Yes.
because because I took a gamble there on somebody who I didn't actually know. But I thought I like what they're doing, and I used my 1% cashback to buy Purple Group shares, which,
How's that working for you?
well, fantastically. I mean, since March, I think I'm up 55%, which is
Not too
astronomical.
shabby, not too shabby. Okay, so then let's talk RAs. You obviously moved yours to easy, but let's go back a bit. Um, in terms of having an RA, You obviously had one before. How important is it to you to understand what it's doing, what it's invested in, what you're paying? And did you have that kind of visibility before?
Partially. When I started RAs, I started in two very traditional ones. And, it was a bit cumbersome. You needed to go and research the underlying fund fact sheets that were, updated on a monthly basis. You couldn't really monitor in real time. It was cumbersome in the old days. I then went into a third RA, pretty good, I'm going to be honest, in the fact that they were one of the first people to start using ETFs for underlying RAs, which obviously brought the costs down astronomically. But you still didn't have the visibility. And then I thought, well, you know what? By having multiple RAs, I'm paying multiple sets of fees, so on and so forth. I like the fact of I can log on to one website or open one app and in one place see crypto, property investments, South African, equities. I don't have Aussie at the moment with Easy, but Great British pounds and US dollars and euros. My RA, my tax-free savings account. Why? Because time is money. And it's actually become somewhat of an addiction to me. I sort of log on 2-3 times a day to see what's happening.
I think we all do. We don't talk about it, but we're there. And everyone's on Instagram. We're on our EasyEquities account, seeing what's going on.
And interestingly enough, something which I quite like, I spoke earlier about knowledge being power. And that actually is, I think, something not many people maybe are using, but that's Thrive. And the EasyEquities Academy, which is built in. And what I like about it is it's short and sweet, takes you 3 or 4 minutes, and you learn something new every time you log in. And I think a better understanding, because let's be honest, what you don't have with EasyEquities is you don't have a broker. You don't have somebody educated helping you. So you need to educate yourself. And it gives you the tools to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, that's really empowering in itself, I just know through friends and family who've gone through all sorts of financial situations, being blind about what's going on in your finances, what fees you're paying, what your money's actually doing is a dangerous game to play. You need to be actively involved. And also, I think a lot of people, myself included, like you surprise yourself. You actually know a lot more and you have good gut instincts more often than not. And that's really, really empowering. So I love what you've said about just being able to educate yourself. Consolidation is a big thing too. Having all these different accounts scattered all over the place and having to check in and monitor and this one's fees and that one, it's just not very efficient, like you said, for your time and for your tracking to see if you're on track in terms of your goals.
Goes even further. I do a fair amount of estate administration. And we see a lot of people come in and you say to the families, you know what investments did the deceased have? And they don't know.
Yeah.
And it then begs the question, how much money is ending up lying at various investment houses and brokerages and things like that, which is simply never claimed because nobody knows it's there.
Wow.
And so consolidation from that aspect is something that actually is efficient as well, not only from a time and fees perspective, but even from a perspective at the end of the day, if you say to somebody, you know what, guys, here's a list of things you need to contact EasyEquities and contact my bank or whatever it is. Or in this day, if you're smart and you bank with Discovery Bank, well, then guess what? You can see EasyEquities there as well. But the point is, it also makes life easier when you're not around anymore as well.
Okay, I never thought of that. That's a really interesting point. Okay, so let's talk about this 1% cashback. So you went through the process of kind of consolidating your RAs, you moved it to EasyEquities, and you've said that that's been a great experience for you in terms of consolidation and all of these things we've spoken about. And then came your little reward. So you got this 1% cashback. And did you invest it all in Purple Group or did you kind of spread it around? What was your strategy?
I went all in on Purple Group because I applied the same sort of philosophy that a lot of people are doing to AI companies these days. And that is companies that are doing something different but that make sense are going to succeed. And purely from that, I sat down and I thought, well, you know what? If I'm trusting Purple Group, essentially being EasyEquities, with my money, shouldn't I trust them with my money? And the 1%, which was a bonus, I thought, well, you know what? I've actually got nothing to lose here. Because if I'm wrong and I don't, and my gut is wrong and it all goes to hell, well, I've actually lost nothing because I've lost 1% that I never had before.
Yeah.
And if it goes well, which it has, that 1% is going to turn around and make me money.
Well, it sounds like you made a good choice.
Well, like I say, 55% in 7 months, 8 months, one can't complain. Far better than money in the bank.
That sounds like good going. Okay, so you've run ultra marathons, you fly planes, and I want to know, how does having full visibility and control of your retirement money compare to those kind of disciplines? Because people think retirement kind of boring, kind of whatever, and then you do all these other crazy things. So are there any links there?
Well, the biggest thing for me, yes, is accessibility. And that is because, especially when you're invested in markets around the world, firstly, they don't maintain a South African 9 to 5. Time is relevant, and it depends on where your money is at the time. So firstly, having accessibility and visibility 24/7 is handy. That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two, you mentioned I've got a lot of hobbies that take me away from my desk.
Yes.
So from that aspect, I'm going to be honest, the EasyEquities app, which is actually very functional. A lot of apps just give you a bit of visibility. You can't do much on them. But the EasyEquities app that actually is fully functional gives me my desk in the palm of my hand wherever I am. Be it out on the road for a training run, be it at 10,000 feet, flying somewhere, I've got that accessibility. And that for me is something which is more important than being able to see what's going on, is being able to actually do things from anywhere at any time.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. You're flying planes and doing legal deals, and I'm changing nappies and pushing the pram on the promenade. But at the same time, we're all looking at our easy accounts, so that's pretty cool. Mark, I'll close with this. If one person or if someone out there is thinking about moving their RA, they're not sure, they're on the fence, what would you say to them?
If they're invested in a traditional old-fashioned RA, I'm going to be very blunt. They're an absolute idiot if they don't move it. Why? Because the old-fashioned products are so outdated and the fees are so exorbitant, they are seriously penalizing themselves long-term. If they're in a more modern ETF-based, lower fees, RA, like we see sometimes with Satrix or 10X, well, move it anyway. Because when you're stuck with those companies, you're stuck with the limited range of funds that they have to offer you. Moving it across to EasyEquities, you've got all those funds from both those companies and a whole lot of extra ones in the process, which you haven't got access to there. So I always say, rather have a tool you never need than need a tool you never have. Moving it to EasyEquities gives you a full toolbox. You have options which you don't have elsewhere. And so from that aspect, long and the short of it, move it.
Perfect. Well, that's a great place for us to end off. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with me and for spending some time. I feel like maybe I need to come visit you in Portugal. You can give me even more life advice and maybe convince me to jump in a plane with you.
Anytime, Carly. Thank you.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye.